Hi, my name is Dr. Ben Newman, and I study coronaviruses, and I'm here to try to answer your questions. This is Ask Dr. Ben. Yeah. Okay, first question today is from Janice. Hello, Janice. Question is, are breathalyzers for COVID still a possibility? Maybe? Okay, here is what I understand about these. Now, there are a couple different technologies out there. Some from the US, some from Israel, all over the place. I think I've heard of 4 of them, but that is probably not a comprehensive list. There are a couple different ways that you could detect a infection. So you could try to detect the virus particle itself. So you could have somebody breathe out, and if they breathed out virus particles, you could have some way to detect them. This is something that's easy to do with biology. You have antibodies and things like that. Very difficult to do with physics, which is how the breathalyzers have to work. So they are going to involve some kind of basically fancy physics. They are trying to shake the atoms or vibrate the atoms or get fluorescence from the atoms and molecules that make up the coronavirus. And they're trying to match that to a pattern. The problem there is that pretty much any coronavirus is built of the same stuff as a cell, bacterium. They are literally components from one of your cells that's come out. So, yeah, very similar there. And the differences between one coronavirus and another coronavirus are kind of small. So it seems just on the surface of it, a lot of these are things that have been spoken about in press releases and are not as much things where we have a lot of scientific literature to evaluate that I have seen anyway. So, yeah. But this is how it could work. So, yeah, with the fancy physics, I don't know that you could tell one human coronavirus from another, bare minimum, which would mean that the common cold would look like SARS and vice versa. You could possibly tell a coronavirus from a picornavirus, which is a different thing that can cause something like the common cold. Yeah. So there's some limited possibility, but I don't think it would work the way people want it to work. People want a little machine where you just breathe into it, and it goes 1, 2, 3, and then makes a little ding sound, and a light comes on that's either, green because you're fine, or red because, whoa, yeah, you need to get to quarantine. I don't know that exists. Now, there is another type of breathalyzer that I have seen, again, talked about in press releases. I'm not sure if this one's published. I have not looked for it. That one goes on not the actual virus itself, but the immune response and the various chemicals that you make in response to a coronavirus. That seems like it ought to be able to tell, in general, a sick person from a healthy person if they are sick in such a way that it comes out when they would normally breathe into the breathalyzer. If you have something in your intestines, there's no way that's going to come out in the breathalyzer, and so yeah, it would be something. It wouldn't be a breathalyzer. I think the weakness of that approach is that, as we know, you have people that have COVID-19 who have no symptoms, and you have people that have all the way to like the ultimate symptom, which is that it, is lethal by various different means. Sometimes it ends up through the circulatory system, stopping the heart. Sometimes it's just a slow sort of degradation of the lungs. So you've got a lot of different potential presentations, kind of a range, and it's a real wide range. I think you would have a better chance with a breathalyzer for something like Ebola, maybe, where it's a little more similar from one person to the next, or smallpox, something like that. Yeah, even the flu. There are enough asymptomatic cases that I don't know that you could breathalyze that out. Doesn't mean it's not worth researching, and doesn't mean there aren't smart people trying their best, and you know what? They may come up with something, but it is difficult. It is really difficult to be able to detect a very small amount of a thing. Normally, the way we can detect a virus is that if you put a virus, the easiest way to detect one You put a virus onto cells that it would like to grow in, and you walk away for about a day, and you come back, and it will have destroyed the cells, spread to all the other cells, and you'll have a ton of virus there, and you'll be able to tell. um, Anything else? You are looking for little pieces of the virus, and with a test like the molecular test, the PCR test, it is possible to detect a few hundred copies or a few tens of copies, depending where you set your threshold. And so that is, that's possible. But those are slow tests. And the thing with the breathalyzer is that everybody wants it to be instant. And if it's instant, you almost need a physical detection with some kind of probably electromagnetic radiation that you bounce off a virus, and it's going to bounce back a little different, but in such a way that you can tell. I think the other thing confounding this is that every single coronavirus particle, like the little spiky ball, is a slightly different size and a slightly different shape, and they're a little bit variable. They can have little gaps in them. They don't always have complete coverage of all the proteins. It's just really difficult. Really, really difficult. So, there we go. That's as best I can answer that. I think it is a way to develop some interesting physics. I don't know that it's anything that's ever going to be particularly practical, just because of how variable every single part of SARS coronavirus 2 is. Somewhere out there, maybe there's a disease where this is actually going to work. And the COVID sniffing dogs are definitely picking up something. I don't know that they're 100% accurate, but yeah, they are definitely picking up something. And so it should be possible to measure those particular volatiles and at least get close. Be as good as a dog. I don't know if that's what people want from a breathalyzer. Maybe you want better than a dog. But yeah, I think that's what you could get if everything works out as planned. So there you go. Go buy a dog, I guess. I don't know. Thanks very much. This has been Ask Dr. Ben.